So does anybody have any questions going forward? Just before we start, you can type them in on the right-hand side. I'll give you a little moment. If not, then we shall be on our way. Right, EstimatorXpress, what we're going to be looking at this evening. So we're going to be looking at just a few things that go on in the background. I'll just go through my standard kind of how to do what, where, when, and why. Okay, any questions that you have, please just type them in on the right-hand side. I'm going to be more than happy to answer them as we go through this. Okay, so firstly, when you turn on the software, this is the page you're going to be greeted with. So you're going to be able to see all your recent work on the left-hand side, your job win rate, and your job status breakdown. Okay, if you don't like how this page looks, absolutely fine. Up in the top left-hand corner, you have a little tab that says jobs. Click that. A little bit of a load, and then we've got your corner infill, your polar, your lean-to, single story extension, and so on. So all the information that you would have seen on that first page you get here, but it's more linear now, and you're going to get all the information on the right-hand side, such as reference, name, and so on. And then you have your material breakdown as well. Okay, and a nice little click down here, you're then going to have open job. So before I go into the library, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the settings on the left-hand side. Now, under the settings tab, we do have something called software theme. Now, what this is going to allow you to do is change the background. Now, the reason I'm sharing this, because it is late, it is dark, you can change it to, say, a gray theme. And this is what's going to happen. It's just going to dye all the lights down for you so it doesn't hurt your eyes too much. So if you are staring at this late into the evening, it will give you a bit of a, well, save you on some glasses, really, hopefully. But I'm just going to go back to the blue theme. I do prefer it personally. I do like that bright color. It keeps me awake, if I'm honest. And then from there, we can then go into the library. Okay, now a little bit of information about the library. This is where we're going to be able to default everything within your software package. So that's your price books, your favorite merchants, your overhead, your profit and inflation, specifications, estimating calculators, data reports, build program templates, and so on. Now, personally, I think leave your build templates alone. There's no real need to go into this. When you start going through a job, it removes anything you're not doing anyway. Okay, so that's not a problem at all. All right, but then first things first, overhead, profit and inflation. This one's quite self-explanatory, really. View and edit profit. So what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at the markup on top of your material, your labor, your plant, your subcontractor, and your sundry items. Okay. Now, next to that, you do have inflation. Add that on if you're confident in doing so. Okay, we are advising you all to add inflation on because, as we know, the marketplace at the moment is quite volatile, especially when it comes to material. So we don't want you losing out on any profits before you start a job in, say, 2 or 3 months' time. Okay. Back to that library, we then have a look at a few of the pricing on the left-hand side. So material, labor, plant, subcontractors, and sundry. So we've broken it down the exact same way as we do within your overhead, profit, and inflation. And if I jump into labor, we're going to be able to see the labor costs within the software. Okay, now as you can see, we've already pre-filled in your 2 bricklayers and a mate, so your gangs and your individual tradesmen. Okay, and next to them, you have a little list price that is in the by the hour. Okay, now I'm going to just tell you a little bit about why we're calculating it by the hour. So we follow, well, when it began, SPONS, really. You might have come across a SPONS book in the past. So we follow that. That's embedded into the base of our software. We've graduated with that through into SMM7, the standard method of measurement. Okay, and now we're on NRM and NRM2, which are the new rates of measurement. A load of acronyms, a load of nonsense, really, if you ask me, but the information embedded in all that is going to save you a lot of time. So what we're saying here is this bricklayer, for example, he's £25 an hour. Now, we've got hidden in the software an algorithm to say it should take a bricklayer, a trained professional bricklayer, an hour to do X amount of brickwork. Okay, and you can even tweak those if you want to. It's entirely up to you. What that's then going to do is going to charge £25 for that hour of work. He's then going to calculate that up to 8 hours, which is a day. So he's £200 a day. Now, if a job says it's going to be 10 hours long, it's not going to charge 250 quid because it realizes that he's going to be on site for another day. And what we do is we take that with a rounding mechanism that you see later on in the software, that we'll be able to round that all up to a whole day as well. And the software's going to work that out for you. Not a problem at all. Okay, so all you've really got to do when it comes to your labor is figure out what you're paying them by the day, divide it by 8, stick it into the software. By doing so, you just double click where it says update with download, and then you can just change this number here. So if it was £250 a day, that's £31.25. Now I can click OK. What you will find is that black price is now going to turn red. Now, what is the difference between a red price and a black price? A red price is a price that we cannot influence when we click download prices. Okay, that's a price that you do not want us to influence. However, if you click update with download, Bob's your uncle goes black again. If you click update or download prices, what's going to happen is from there, if we see there's a change in the industry when it comes to bricklayers, say a 5% increase, we're going to apply a 5% increase to this £31.25, whereas we won't provide a 5% increase to that joiner, okay, of £25. All right, hope that makes sense. If you want to create your own tradesman, absolutely fine. Just pick the tradesman you want to create, such as a bricklayer. Go up to the top where it says new resource, and then you can call him Billy Bob Builder. Why not? And you can do whatever you like with that. Give him a cost, tell him where he's coming from, and then you can have him in the software as well. If you don't want him, delete that resource, and he's gone away. Nice and easy. Okay, so it's nice and quick if you want to. From labor, we can then hop into plant. Plant's going to be wear and tear and rental. Okay, wear and tear is going to be the likes of, say, your block cutters, your dust sheets, your shovels, your wheelbarrows, things that can break on site, electrical drills, okay, batteries. Rental is going to be obviously access towers, cherry pickers, mini diggers, things that you're going to be renting or paying a subby for, something like that. Okay, we also have your provisional things in there as well, site toilets, cabins, steel containers. I can go down a little bit further. We then have grab lorries, roll-on, roll-off skips, ordinary skips as well, your typical domestic skips. Depending on how that's going to be calculated for you with it, when it comes to wastage, that's then going to again get pulled going forward, okay, and calculated. Oh, wrong one. I want to show you material, last but not least. Okay, now material, we have about 3,000 to 4,000 materials in the software. Actually, I think that's even been updated even more so. I think it's now about 5,000 materials in the software now. There's a lot. Okay, and if you want to find something such as timber, you can type timber in there. Now, that's a terrible search because it's going to bring up nails, balustrade, anything to do with timber, which isn't the best. If I want to type in, say, OSB, however, that's going to take me directly to what I want to play with. Now, what you can do is you can import pricing from your particular merchant as well. Okay, so we can get their prices in there, and under that merchant tab, you'll find your particular merchant. Okay, if you don't want to do that, and you think our prices are pretty spot on, which to be honest with you, they are, you can then click that, and then you can start tweaking with the adjustments, the discounts, and all sorts yourself by just going to the editing tools, and then you can click edit pricing or edit adjustments, edit wastage, whatever you like. Okay, so you can do that all yourself. It's not a problem at all. Okay. Back to the library. As I said, we do work with some of your merchants. Okay, so if I just click favorite merchants here, the reason why we do is that you can cherry pick where the material are coming from. So aggregates, appliances, bathrooms, blocks, bricks, so on. Okay, and you can tell the software, right, okay, then I want to get my bricks from X and my blocks from Y. Okay, how we do that is by getting your account numbers, we contact your merchants and we get those and that information back to us. Now, the three that we work with at the moment are Travis, TradePoint, and Keyline. Okay, we can work with your other local merchants as well. Just give us a heads up and we can actually just get that information embedded in there, but we just need your hand as well. Okay, you can take it a step further if you like. You can go into specification, so now you can even tweak your defaults here as well, such as if I wanted to go into the extension specification, what we do is we can look at the prices of concrete as a standard. We can look at our trades as well. So we've gone for best case scenarios, such as 2 bricklayers and a mate, but you might only be working with, say, 1 bricklayer and a mate. And if that was the case, you can just highlight, change the resource, and change it to 1 bricklayer and a mate if you wished. Or you can highlight them all, say I'm going to be subcontracting that kind of work out, so I'm just going to subcontract it instead. Okay. Or if you're saying lay trench blocks, I wonder how long it takes them to lay trench blocks. How many bricks or block trench blocks can they lay in an hour? Just right click, edit that resource. And then you can go into what we call the usage factor. And then you can see here what that information is embedded into the software. So it should take 1 hour for 2 bricklayers to make to lay 2.2 square meters of trench blocks. Okay, and that's the base maths that is in the software, and it's going to calculate how long this job's going to take for you going forward. All right. Back to the library. You then have your estimating calculators. We can help you create calculators within the software, and you can tweak hours if you wish. It's entirely up to you by just going into any one. Okay, such as say landscaping, turfing. I can just open it up here and have a look at what we're actually estimating when it comes to turfing. So length, width, irregular areas, rotavators, rollers, deliveries, landscaper required. We can then see the resources that are going to be calculated within this as well. So we've then got medium quality turf, ground workers, rotavators, lawn rollers, deliveries as well. And then what you can do as well is if you've looked at that and went, yeah, but I like to add in tarpaulin as well, why not? What we can do is we can then go sundry resources, add material, add labor, add plant, and we can add whatever we want in there. So when it comes to turfing, we can calculate for that as well. Actually, come to turfing, let's say we're going to add in sand. So I can go add, let's just type in sand, and that's and, Jesus Christ, that's not going to help us at all. Okay, so bear with me a second. Wow, that N does not want to work, does it? Terribly sorry if it does seem a little bit laggy. It's because I have to live stream on YouTube as well, and I think this is just taking up a hell of a lot of RAM on my computer. So the software isn't usually like this. Oh, come on, sunshine. Here we go. Sand, search. Now we've got building sand, kiln sand, plastering sand, sharp sand, and so on. Sanding block, if you want to do that. I'm just going to go with building sand for the time. Wouldn't be using the sand, obviously. And then I can just go item used for, I don't know, filling in. Why not? How many bags do we want to calculate for? We don't want to calculate for any at this moment in time because it could vary on different jobs. So you always want to keep the quantity at 0. Build phase, I can do external works, and that's an E. So external works, there we go. Bob's your uncle. Now we've got our building sand. Now, when we go into turfing later on, what I can do is I can go, right, I'm going to select my building sand, and I'm going to select, say, 4 bags, and we can add that in there, not a problem at all. Okay, and that's how you can then edit and tweak hours if you want to. It's all in there, and we would go through this with you with training. Okay, last but not least, do I want to save my data? Yes, I do. I'll save that into turfing. Brilliant. Lastly, your data reports. This is purely what you want to be looking at when it comes to the end of the software. So you've done your job. Okay, you're thinking, brilliant. Okay, what's the information that I'm going to get versus what's the information that the client's going to get? Well, the client's going to get a quote written up saying, by the way, thank you for allowing us to give you the estimate. It's going to give them a nice breakdown of what's going to happen per build phase, so on and so forth. Okay, you're going to make it nice, and you can tidy it up as well if you want. It's entirely up to you. Whereas this is the information that you're going to be working with on a regular basis, so you can then go, right, okay, then what am I going to be looking at when it comes to saying the cost summary report? What is that? So the cost summary report is a breakdown of your entire job. Okay, so that's going to be labor, material, plant, subcontractors, and sundry items. And what's going to do is then going to go, right, okay, then here's my labor. So I've got my bricklayers, my carpenters, my decorators, electricians, ground workers, and so on. How much is that going to cost me? Well, it's X. How much am I going to have to add on when it comes to wastage? Hopefully with your trade, nothing. But as you can see beneath that, under material, we've got wastage there. So including wastage, price doesn't change. And then it goes, right, okay, then what is my profit on top of the bricklayer? So it's going to be about £3,044.99p. It's like, brilliant. Okay, then what is my cost, including profit and overheads then as well? And then you're going to be able to see the markup added on as well. Okay, and then you're going to have your labor totals as well. All right. So you're going to be able to see that as well for material, plant, subcontractors, and so on, all the way down to £260,110.71. Okay, and that's just a hypothetical job at the moment. All right, and you can drag in and drop all the information on the right-hand side if you wish, from resources to job information as well. It's entirely up to you what you want to have a look at. Okay. Back to the dashboard. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to see if you want to ask any questions, but if not, we're then going to just jump straight into a job. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of moments. And we'll wait a few more seconds just in case some of you are a little bit slow. Sorry if you can hear the dog barking. And no, none of you have any questions. Brilliant. Okay, so going into a job itself, what we will do is we'll go up to the top where it says create new job. Next to that, you can see create new group of jobs. What creating new group of jobs will allow you to do is to group together previous jobs that you've been using to estimate. And then what that will do is it will then start giving you a Gantt chart to see these jobs from start to finish when they are going to be overlapping. And then you can start looking at the materials and the profit from those jobs as well. Great to look at if you're going to be looking at a 12-month period, a previous 12-month period for reporting anyway, or if you want to see what the next couple of months are going to look like if you have more than one job going on. Okay, which is quite handy. It's a nice little feature there. But creating a new job, we've got this one here, and then we've got 4 options available. So the top option, quote from a standard job template. These are the templates that we have in the software for you from the very beginning. You can select them. You can start putting in the lengths, the widths of the build itself, and then start going into the intricacies later on. Quote from a custom job template. This is going to be if you have a bespoke build. This could be a new build house. This could be a loft conversion, renovation, something that's going to be quite unique. That's when you would go in here as well. Third option, quote from PlansXpress import. If you didn't like how this feature worked when it came to new builds or quirky builds, okay, what you can do is you can get our second package, PlansXpress, and then what you would be able to do is do a takeoff, import that into the software, and then give it a cost as well. You would still have to manually do your takeoff, so that's clicking around what you have to build, but that is a feature as well. And you can also do live drawings as well if you want. Okay, so architectural planning, building regulation, whatnot for your clients. Okay, lastly, quote using estimating calculators. This is if you wanted to calculate, say, 400 linear meters of skirting, go into this. Okay, find the skirting calculator and do your damage. All right, but the guys here in this demonstration, I don't think that's something that you'd be estimating for, really. Okay, so we're going to go up to the top, quote from a standard job template. I'm going to select this one here, and then you can see the templates that we have in from the software. So we have single story extensions, wraparound extensions, multi-story extensions, single story and multi-story mixed. We've then got conservatories, orangeries, bungalows, houses, apartments, flats, garages, detached and attached, depending on what you want to work with. I'm going to go for a single story flat roof extension. Okay, because I haven't done one in a while. Okay, so once we've done that there, we can then have this page load up. So what we're going to be able to see is we're going to be able to see the length and the width of the extension. We then have your, above that, assumptions and omissions, provisional sums, client contact details, cost breakdown. So if I change this price here, this dimension, sorry, from 2.7 to say 3 meters, the price in the top right hand corner is a live updated price, will change. So I can just go 3 meters, and that 14.7 is going to go up to 5.5 now. Okay, because it's got more labor, more material applied to that. Okay, the cost breakdown at the top of the page is going to break down that cost for you into its different parts. So we can go cost breakdown. I can click this here. Then we're going to be able to see cost by estimating calculator and cost by build phase. So currently we're using 5 calculators, and you're going to see what I mean by them in a moment. So the brick and block cavity wall, the floor screed, the extension slab, the connecting wall plastering, and the regular rectangular flat roof. Okay, so we've got those options available. But you might be thinking, what is in that? This is all blank. Just click one, and it's going to tell you everything that's broken down into that, up to the cost of £7,623.31. But you might be thinking, well, what about the foundations? I just want to look at the foundations only. Well, that's when you click build phase. Click that. Then going to go foundations, footings, masonry, shell, plastering, and so on. And then you're going to have your break down here. So we can see the concrete's currently costing us £445.05. And the foundations are coming up to a cost of £1,471.83. And we're currently costing for light plant as well. And that light plant is wear and tear. So your shovel costs, we're probably charging your client 43 pence for the use of a shovel to backfill this trench. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. And this is information they're never going to see either. Okay, so they're never going to see that. Beneath your dimensions, we then have a couple of yes/no questions. So firstly, are we going to allow for the plastering? Yes or no? It's usually yes. Are we going to allow for the decoration? Yes or no? That's really dependent on the client. And if they come back to you and say, is there anything you can do on the price? Decoration is usually the first to go. Okay, so you have that in there as well. Okay, allow for the internal finishing to the external walls. What we're saying in this one here is this back wall, so the wall that was the back of the house, if this was going on the back of the house, we are going to be plastering, we are going to be decorating that back wall. All right, you can just unclick that if you want to. It could be a garage, they might not care. Okay, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. Decorate fascias and soffits, that's already unticked because we presume you're going to be using UPVC. Okay, and unless they're completely chaotic, you're probably not going to be painting that at all. And then beneath that, we've got cavity wall foundation depth, how deep are our foundations going to be, ceiling height, soffit width to a flat roof downstairs as well. So we've got 100 mil there. Okay. Beneath that, we are going to get into the estimating, don't you worry. We then have the resource specification. The reason why we have this here is because these are things that do usually jump from job to job. Okay, so I can just click edit specification and mini specs. And then this little box will appear on my screen. What we're going to find here is the main specification is going to be the extension specification. So we know we're going to be building an extension. The external wall brickwork, how much are you going to be paying for this brick? Okay, so you can then go, oh, it's actually going to be a £1.30 brick, for example. So we're going to select that first off. Roof tiling, don't need to worry about that because there aren't any tiles. Guttering, however, there is that. So we've got plastic half round, but it could be steel, zinc, cast iron, aluminium, depending on the aesthetic you have to follow and where you are. Now, flat roof waterproofing, however, we've got GRP as a base, okay, but you do have EPDM, basic felt, premium felt, single ply. Under GRP, it's going to calculate you buying goggles, suits, gloves, rollers, buckets. It's going to add everything else on, presuming that you don't have any of it or you don't want to use any of it that you've already owned, okay, because as we all know, this is horrible stuff, okay. Fascia barge boards and soffits, UPVC, but it could be softwood, and if it is softwood, then that's probably going to be decorated. Okay. Floorboards. If you have any, say, suspended floors going in, what floorboards are you going to want to drop in? And we've got whitewood, chipboard, plywood, redwood, depending on what you want to use. Plant and labour for the excavation. This does change job to job because we've got a mini digger and a driver, best case scenario. However, there could be just a JCB or it could be a manual dig. So it's going to calculate a Kango in there, go with a pickaxe, a spade. Okay, just having the time of his life digging out that back garden for probably close to a week, 2 weeks, depending on the size of the job. Okay, but once you're happy with that, it then applies that cost to the job, tells you it's increased by almost £600. We can click completed. That box has absolutely no bearing on the quote or the price. Okay, that's just purely for you. If you're estimating it, say 2 o'clock in the morning, like some of you will, sadly, it's just a nice place for you to be able to go, okay, I'm going to go to bed now, wake up. Where did I last finish? Brilliant. It was there. I can now go onto my external walls. All right. So external walls now. First question you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I didn't want a brick and block cavity wall. I wanted a block and block with render. Why is it just defaulted to this? Well, we have a drop-down box here. With that drop-down box, we then got brick and ICF, brick and SIPs, double leaf, external cavity block wall, which is our block and block. I can click that. Price is going to change. Image is going to change. Okay, so depending on what you're going to be doing, you can see it change in front of your eyes. Okay. Next to that, we then have a little red book. Clicking that little red book is going to take you to our website. Okay, and that's going to start telling you about that calculator, related articles, training videos, you name it, it's on that page. Okay, and as you can see, they're everywhere. Okay. Next to that, we then have the wall width and the cavity width. This is what we've written in there straight away. So you can see that it's going to be essentially Part L walls. And then we've got dimensions, resources, and estimating calculators. Okay, firstly, dimensions. This is the dimension of the wall and how it's built, not the shape of the actual extension itself. So we can now see that it was 2.4 from the top of DPC, which we said here. Overall length of the wall is going to be 12 meters, which we've already said, by a 3x6. Gable dimensions, it will calculate gable for you if there were any, but it's a flat roof. Foundation details, we've got 900 deep. Like I said, 600 wide, that can change. We can go to 0.7 if we wanted to. It's entirely up to us. We've got two options for concreting. Then we've got plank and strut the excavation, and we've also got bulking of the excavated material at 1.5. So what's going on here? If I just click these two boxes down at the bottom, show tech tips and show tech labels, what you're going to now see is everything's going to be labeled up. We've got a brief description at the top, and if I click that, oh, it stays at foundation width. If I click that one there, it's then going to change to structural concrete thickness. Okay, so every time you click a box, it's going to tell you exactly what we're talking about. Now, we're not teaching you how to suck eggs. You understand the building game, okay? However, we've got to cover multiple types of builds under the same calculator, because if we don't, we'd have an extra 300-400 calculators, and you'd just be thinking, Jesus Christ, this is overkill, okay? So the likelihood is you're going to be doing a mass fill, so I can get rid of this one, zero that one out there. Okay, I'm going to zero that one out there in a second, and then I'm going to go for a 0.8 here. No, I'm not. It's not going to do that at all for me, is it? There we go. 0 and 0.8. Perfect. So now we've changed up our concrete. Plank and strut the excavation, yes or no? So are we going to be supporting this foundation depth? At this depth, probably not. However, I'd still use this as a yes if you're going to be doing a build over. Okay. Bulking of the excavated material, 1.5. This is just purely, is it going to expand coming out of the ground? Yes, it is, but by how much? So we're going to say for every cubic meter, it's going to expand to 1.5 cubic meters of space. So when you're dealing with the skips, it can then shoot away. Okay. Footing details, we've got cavity width, overall width, splash course depth, brickwork depth below splash course. So as you can see now, is we've got 2 bricks for your splash course, and then we also have your brickwork below splash course as well. Okay, if you want to do any of this maths, okay, if it has to go to 4 blocks or bricks, sorry, just up that by 2 or double it. Okay, so you've then got that extra brickwork, and it's going to do the maths for you on the bricks. Okay. Is the main wall to be insulated? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Is there a separate DPC? Yes, there is. By the way, if you turn off the tech tips and tech labels, looks like that. To the trained eye, you know what you're looking at, but to the untrained eye, that's going to be a lot of gobbledygook. Okay. And then last but not least, your plastering and decorating. Are you going to be plastering? Are we going to be decorating? We've already said yes to that, so it's already saying yes here. Okay. Click finish. Price update to whatever you're going to be dealing with. Okay. From there, you've then got your resources and your estimating calculators. So your resources is going to give you the images, and it's going to tell you all about the material on the right hand side. Now, what I could do is I could just click the description, and it's going to tell me what I'm going to be looking at. So what we can see right now is that this is a cost of £794.64. Our order quantity is 6.72. But our order quantity is going to be 7.22 at the moment. When it goes to the rounding mechanism, that's going to go up to 8 cubic meters. Okay. But then we can also see a price here per cubic meter at £110 per cubic meter. You might be thinking, Christ, that's cheap. I pay 130. If that is the case, click the drop down box, try and find 130. We have one in there already. Okay. But if not, what you can do is you can create your own resource, and you can have that one in there as well. I'm just going to click this drop down though. Have that 130. It's then going to tell me the price is going to go from 794 to 939. But there you have it. And then you can go on to any other part of the build and do the exact same. What you can also do is you can do this for labor as well. So we have your labor here. Click the drop down box at the bottom. We've now got labor above DPC. I can hover my mouse above that. We've then got 2 bricklayers in the main. Cost is going to currently be £1,123.20. Okay, and it's going to take us roughly about 18 hours, okay, before the rounding up. But you might be thinking, do you know what? They charge £50 a square meter. How do I cost for that instead? We've got £39 a square meter. Just click Edit Build Phase. Change the unit factor to something it's going to be in line with. It's going to then go up to £1,440. Click OK, and you've got the cost there, £50 per square meter. So now we're calculating that as the price of the build instead of the hour. Instead, do that, then you could do your plastering as well. Okay, so that's how you can do that aspect. If you didn't like how that looked, we then got the estimating calculator. So I can click this. Okay, same information, but this time it's going to be given to you in a more linear fashion. So we've got calculated resources, structural concrete, mass concrete. You can see that the font's changed now to a bold font to just show that we've made a change ourselves. Okay, and then we can go down a little bit further and we can start seeing the trades that we've got working on this as well. And then our plants, we've got mini diggers, shovels. And if you want to see how much we're charging for the use of a shovel, we've got 5p on backfilling the trench. And we've got 81p for placing the concrete. Okay, so we've just have a combined price of 86p to charge a client for the use of your shovel in this particular job. Now, again, that's information they're never going to see. And to be honest with you, why should they? Okay. And then that's the estimating calculator. And then what you would do is you then start going through the rest of the job. Okay, just by clicking this completed option on the right-hand side. Now, we've gone through the most intense aspect of this demonstration. Now, does anybody have any questions at all? I'm going to give you a few moments. We'll just leave that for you there. Right, no questions. Well, from here on out, we'll just see a few other things and how it's all been estimated. Okay, and then we'll be able to go from there. Okay, so once you're happy with this, you can then go on to your flooring, your roofing, and again, it's going to be the exact same process. Click the question mark, takes you to the website. Okay, click the dimensions, go through the dimensions of the slab and the information about that slab as well. Okay, so we've got that. We then have your structural openings. This is a two-step process for the structural openings. So the first step is creating the hole. So we can go open into an existing hole, a 3-meter opening. And then we can say it's 3 meters opening and 2.1 to the underside of the sill with 150mm end bearing. Okay. From there, we then have your plastering, your decorating, and so on. Okay. Once we've created that opening, we can then go and find the steel itself by going to structural beams and posts, and we can go through the steel beam. And then no matter what residential steel beam you're going to be finding or needing on a particular site, you can find them on there as well. Okay, and it's going to fill in that information for you under labor plant requirements as well. So do I need a crane? Do I need anything else going forward? You then have walling sundries, renovation and demolition options, plumbing and electric options, fitting out as well, drainage and services, landscaping, prelims and sundries. So under landscaping, I can select, say, turfing, for example, not stairs to decking. So we have turfing to, say, a medium lawn. We've got the length of that to be turfed, the width, rollers, rotavators, deliveries, collections, and so on. So we have that there. Now, I wanted my sand in there as well. So what I can now do is just click Estimating Calculator. I can go to where it says Sundry Resources now, and I've got my building sand in there. And the reason why we kept it as 0 is because now it's saying quantity. How many do we need? Well, it's not adding any on at the moment, but now I can go, I need 4. That's going to add on 160 quid to the cost of my job. Okay, so we've now got that in there as well. Okay, and that's how you can add in prelims and tweak items yourself as well. Once you're happy with this, we can then go to the main estimate on the left hand side, and it's going to break down your job for you. I appreciate I'm trying to keep this within an hour, so I'm jumping over a few things as well. We can do one-to-one demonstrations where we can take longer for this as well. Okay. So in the estimating calculator, now what you're going to be able to see at the top of the screen is the resource quantity rounding. Okay, now the resource quantity rounding is going to take and apply all those rounding up mechanisms that the software can apply. Okay. First, it's going to just tweak your paint. And then we can go to the rules applied within the job. Now what we've got here is we've got building sand bulk bag, sub base, sharp sand, blue circle, mastercrete, original cement. Over on the right hand side, it's going to tell you how much you need. So we can say, right, okay, then with the sub base, we needed exactly 5.2 bags. With the wastage that usually comes with sub base, that's going to go up to 6.5. As you can't order half a bag, we're going to round it up by half a bag to 7 bags. And that's going to add £20 onto the cost of the job. Okay, if you think, actually, you know what, I'm happy with 6, you can click here, go to 6. It's going to take £20 off the cost of the job. Okay, don't fret. Total rounding cost here, £1,598.61. Okay, and this is very good to do. Okay, is to get everything as our rounding up is to be rounded up. So we can say, right, okay, then there's £20 there. We're going to add on £1,638 to the cost of the job. That's brilliant. Okay, once you've done this, you've handed it over to your client, you've had that conversation with them, they've said yes to the cost of the job. Brilliant, Bob's your uncle. What you can then do is you can then come back into the resource quantity rounding and go, right, okay, then now what do I want to do? Do I want to start rounding this down? Do I want to start playing around with these costs as well again? Okay, because my client's already agreed to the highest price. How do I make this cheaper for me now? As you would do, obviously, with how you would be trying to save money as a business. Okay, so you can then start tweaking that to say 6 now instead after they've said yes to the cost of the job. Okay, so you can do that as well if you wish. All right. Once you're done with the actual rounding, you can then go into the build program to see how long this job's going to take. Okay, so firstly, we've got the preferred gang sizes. This is going to take the information from what you put in earlier on, and just to reinforce it for you. So masonry shell, 2 bricklayers, mate. That is the team that I went with straight away. Okay, but I can actually go, no, you know what? I want to just be the bricklayer and mate. That's it. Swap it here, swaps it in the software for you. Nice and easy. Okay. Once you've done that, it's then going to just confirm a couple of days as well. And then it's going to go, this is your job going forward. So now we can see how long the job's going to be. Okay, we've got a masonry shell. That's the longest stint in there. It's 9 days. Then we've got the flat roof structure after that, which is 4 days, and so on. Now, what you can do is you can go, actually, you know what, we've been rained off a week. So I can just drag that, move it along, and it moves the rest of the job for me. Similarly with plastering, I can push that back a week or 2 weeks, depending on what needs to be done on a particular job. And that information is then going to all cascade into your reports later on for ordering materials. Okay. So you can do that as well if you wish. We can also go into the resource breakdown over on the right hand side. So I can click that here. So if you want to look at what's going on with the plastering, I can pull this open. And then what we have now are fixing, applying plastering to the walls, apply finish, plastered, what jobs are going to be done, how much we need to order, and how much it's going to cost us on the right hand side. So we can then see that breakdown as well when it comes to your materials, your plant, your labor, and so on. Okay, so we can do that as well for any build phase that you need, including landscaping as well. So we've got that landscaper, rotavator rollers, turf, and so on. Okay, so we've got that in there as well. We can even print a range date of the entirety of May if we wished. We can export that. We can hand it over to our site managers, depending on what we want them to see. Okay. Then you have your outputs and you have your smart scheduler as well. Now we're actually giving a detailed smart scheduler demonstration tomorrow, okay, if you'd like to attend. But what this is going to allow you to do is start taking more control of your labor, your material, and so on and so forth from more of a business running background, okay? So say that we were looking at engineering bricks. Now let's go for something more specific. Let's go build phase. It's going to be masonry shell, facing bricks. So we have our facing bricks here. And now what we can see is that the order quantity is 1,815. Okay. So how many bricks we need to order along with everything else? Pitch polymer, blue circle match original cement, and so on. Okay. Now you might have a subby that goes, you know what? I'm going to get the bricks. Don't worry about it. You can go, right, okay, I'll estimate everything else but the bricks. Why not? You can zero that one out and you can assign that to a subcontractor as well. Okay, so you can add that to your client as well. And you can assign it to subcontractors, how much they're going to need and how much is going to be ordering them as well. Okay, so you can start doing that for your materials, material order reports, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can start adding in and giving this information over to your subcontractors as well. Again, it's going to give you a material order breakdown as well of what you've got to order if you want to have a look at that. Okay, which is nice and easy. Your outputs, however, this is again what we're going to be looking at when it comes to your cost summary report. So we can click that here. Okay, we can then have a look at your labor, your material, your plant, your subcontractors, your sundry items, and their breakdown in costs up to £29,724 and 69 pence. Okay. You could even go into your materials by type, material order schedule, depending on what you want to look at. Materials by type, this is actually going to just take in the information of what you need to order. So we've got your aggregates here, we've got the materials, how much they're going to cost, how much we need to order, and how much in bulk are they going to cost us. Okay, so we can then start changing this, showing our merchants different information depending on what they want to see. Okay, and you can just remove anything you want, such as resource cost. So it's then just how much we're currently paying for it and how much we need. And then you can hand this over to a merchant and go, right, okay, then what's that going to cost us? Okay. And then if you want to come back to the original one, just click restore report, click yes, and then you're on your way again. Okay. And then we've got the quote for the main estimate as well. All right. So we've got the single story extension for our client not provided because we didn't provide any information. We can go over to the right hand side, we can include a logo, apply that to the page, click save to library, never have to worry about doing that again. Under the main settings, we can then start adding in a change of percentage, or we can even go not VAT registered if we wanted to. We can even include our inflation at this part as well. Then you can start scrolling down the page. This information on the right hand side will change with regards to the page that you're going to be looking at, such as including a letterhead, introductory statements, so on. And then we've got the breakdown of the quote, so foundations, brief description, what material we're going to be using, and the cost of the foundations as well. And if you don't like any of this, you can change the image. If you don't like the image, you can take out the resources as well. And it's then going to go foundations, what's going to happen during the foundations, and the breakdown of costs. Okay. And then we have the chronological order of how the bill is going to go, acceptance of the estimate, something for both you and them to sign, and something else for both you and them to sign. Okay, with your terms and conditions at the very end. Okay. Once you're happy with that, and if they have said yes, you can offer them a stage payment option if you wish. And you can just swap this out for per build phase. You can take a deposit if you wanted to. say a 20% deposit. You can change the regular dates, say every 2 weeks, starting from today. And then we can apply that change and have a 3-month liability period or a 2-month liability period, depending on what we want to do. And that's going to be your stage payment option for your client as well. Okay. And that's what you would be looking at when it comes to our estimating software, with the reports, with how you can set up a job, with how you can set up your materials, your labor, your plant, how you can tweak your calculators, go through a job, how you can round your resources, how you can look at scheduling your materials, and how you're going to be able to hand over a quote to your client. Does anybody have any questions? Well, if nobody has any questions, what I can do is I can leave it with you. Okay. Would anybody like a call back tomorrow to go through maybe a more detailed one-to-one or discuss any parts of the software with our team as well? Perfect. Yep, not a problem at all. Well, if nobody has any other further questions, what I can do is I can leave it with you. Thank you ever so much for attending this evening. If you do have any questions going forward, please get in contact. We'll be more than happy to help. Until then, thank you ever so much for spending the evening with me. You take care.